All right. Hey, everyone. How is everyone this Sunday? The ending of the lunar cycle. We have a new moon literally in like 3 hours. So this is the deepest of the endings of the lunar month that we experience. It's really cool to catch it. Really cool to have a live stream while it's going on. But see how you feel the next 3 hours. This is, again, the ending phase of this, what I felt has been a very personal development month. Even the last 2 months have been extremely personal development related. For me, having more of a, focus on my mental health and spiritual health, starting to prioritize more of my spiritual well-being, and doing things that are just a little bit more less active and again feeding my soul more. So very important past couple months for me personally. We can maybe attribute that to the retrogrades, to of course the eclipses that we've had here. But very curious also what you all have experienced this last month as we now are coming to the closeout of this lunar cycle. So in literally 3 hours, we're going to have the exact conjunction with the sun and moon, as you can see here. That's exactly how it'll look. If you used a planetarium software such as this, you will see the new moon right at the beginning of Aries like this. So very different from mainstream astrology. Mainstream has said that we've been already in Aries season for the past weeks, but the sun has just shifted into Aries, not even the past week. And this will be the first new moon. So in many ways, it is a new beginning to the solar year, or to the astrological year, since Aries is the first constellation, again, is associated with spring and the seasonal zodiac. And having a new moon is the beginning. So if we have a solar new beginning, which is the sun in Aries, combined with the lunar new beginning, which is the new moon, you have a solar year. So many could read this as a new solar year, that 2025 technically is starting now. And I'm curious what you all are feeling in regards to that. But let me go ahead and go through the chat here. Now I want to make sure if I'm coming through, because I'm looking at the live stream and it says I'm live, but I'm not seeing my face. Maybe it's just taking a long time to upload here today. Let me just make sure everything looks good. Everything does look good. So I'm going to continue as normal. But as soon as you see my face, if you can just let me know in the chat, I want to make sure that I am in fact live and not talking to myself, as I do like to do sometimes. All right. So, hey, Sylvia, great for you to join. Thank you so much, Sylvia Ponder. I'm grateful. Thank you, says Sylvia. Mystic Media, great to see you. Hi, Athen. Mandy here. Looking forward to our gathering. Me as well. Very happy to be here. Very happy that you joined us here. Manda. Erica Alexandria, great to see you. Erica says, hello, cosmic friends. I'm in mourning right now. My second oldest sister passed on the 23rd, and I will bury her temple on Tuesday. Understanding about the afterlife as I begin death doula studies. Erica, I'm very sorry to hear that. My condolences to you and the rest of your family and everyone else who knew your second oldest sister. But yeah, my heart goes out to you. If everyone could give a shout out to Erica and her family and friends. Yeah, death is, of course, seen in the astrology. It's things we can sort of work with and analyze, and I think that's what helps us also understand that we can, really make the best of it in life as well. But thank you, Erica, for sharing. And again, I wish you and everyone involved, the very best. All right, so I'm getting the CUs. So for some reason, it's just I can't see myself in the actual YouTube, but you guys are saying that you see me, so great to hear. All right, so let's see here. Sprout Queen, great to see you. As always, thanks for joining. Sprout Queen sending lots of love and peace to Erica as well. Thank you, Sprout Queen. Woody from New Hampshire. Great to see you again, Woody. Hi, everyone. Greetings from New Hampshire. Spring is just starting. Hope you're having a beautiful spring there. I know New Hampshire, and really that whole northeast part of the States and southeast part of Canada. Very beautiful in the spring and summer. As cold as it gets, it's probably, I would imagine, I personally haven't been there, but from what I hear, it's just as beautiful on the other side in the spring and summer. Christine Yen, thanks for joining. Grand sunny day, Athen, and everyone. Thanks, Christine. Great to see you. John D, always a pleasure. John D, greetings all. Malini, greetings from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Aquarius Sky Clock, great to see you. Evening, says Aquarius Sky Clock. Twinkle from Zims, aloha. Goddess Heather, great to see you, Goddess. Thanks for joining. What a wonderful way to gather, and I'm happy to join my friend. Thank you so much, Goddess. John D. Yep, okay. Thanks for the shout out that we are in fact live. Christine Cardoza, great to see you. So Woody says that the last few months have been very sluggish. Feel like my feet have been in molasses. All right, that's a good one. I can definitely concur. I can definitely relate to that. Great way of describing it, I would say. Things just, I wouldn't say stuck, because they are moving. And I guess that's what the molasses is like. You're still moving with that molasses in your feet. You're not in quicksand or anything like that. But definitely slowly but surely. And sticky. Raquel, great to see you. You're alive, excited for this 2025 beginning. Happy Sunday. Thanks so much, Raquel. Ari Gold, great to see you. Also giving condolences to Erica. Thank you, Ari. Glow with the Flow, great to see you. Thanks for joining. All right, so what do you guys want to talk about today? I don't see any questions in the chat. So we can roll with, the weekly energies, of course. It is going to be quite a subtle week astrologically. Of course, if you have, personal planets very active in your natal chart right now, then you will not have it be this easygoing. And I wouldn't say easygoing is the way to describe it, but you wouldn't feel it as subtly, of course. Everyone's going to feel it a little bit differently, but collectively we can say it's definitely a subtle week astrologically. So again, we're just having this new moon on this Sunday in a few hours, new beginnings. That means that this whole early part of next week is just going to be figuring things out. Okay, it's going to be a great few days just for getting our feet wet, exploring new things, letting the energy slowly build as we go through that. We will have the moon in Taurus Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's actually a great placement for the moon, considered exalted. This can mean a great time for a bit of groundedness, a little bit of the slow and steady energies, and just feeling more of that sort of resourcefulness, which is really good. So the action of the month will really come in this weekend. So once we get to especially Sunday, we'll be in the first quarter moon. So a week from now, that's where things will start to manifest in the context of these new beginnings. Okay, so early this week, just kind of slowly building momentum, feeling it's still lower energy of the lunar month. And then as we get closer to the weekend, more action will likely be the case, but it's good to do that, good to work with it like that. And then manifestation. So good time to set intentions right now. Short-term intentions, what do you want to see manifest on Sunday and Monday of next week? So Sunday of this week and Monday of next week, what do you want to see manifesting a week from now? And, just kind of slowly do that. Of course, the full manifestations of the lunar cycle will be in 2 weeks once we have the full moon. So we can set that sort of 2-week goal, 2 weeks. will be the actual harvest. So first quarter, a week from now, actual things manifesting, more action, more challenging. 2 weeks from now, harvest. And then in the largest lunar cycle sense, what do you want to see completed in the next 30 days? I really wish our Gregorian calendars followed the lunar cycle, because if we did have our months aligned to the moon, things would be in so much more flow. We would know that at the beginning of the month, the first, second, third, like how we're having here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they would be subtle. They would be best to have more receptive kind of things going on, you know? Then we would know, okay, busy times are the 7th, the 8th, the 9th. We'd know, okay, harvest is like 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. And completions are at the end of the month. It would be amazing if we did this. It does kind of coincide right now that the Gregorian calendar is kind of synced up with the lunar cycle, kind of, sort of, because we're having a new moon on the 27th at the end of the month. But anyways, very important to be in alignment with the lunar cycle. So anyways, that's this week, first quarter at the end of the week. Pluto is going retrograde on Sunday at the end of the week. And that's going to be, very typical. Sometimes in mainstream astrology, they'll really blow the stuff out of proportion and be like, oh, hey, it's a major big deal. But actually happens every year, and it's for half of the year. So with these outer planets, they're retrograde for literally 6 months, well, close to 6 months out of the year. And so we start our Pluto retrograde. So this can be maybe some things shifting with some of the deeper stuff, okay? Pluto does rule life and death, transformations, the deeper world, research, uncovering deep things, the occult, healing. And the retrograde will make it more internalized. So for those of you who've perhaps been experiencing a much more intense or transformative last 6 months, you will probably get a break. Retrogrades do tend to ease up the energy, at least from the outer world. So especially if you're feeling it as like kind of happening to you, or life is kind of influencing you like that. And so it takes a break with the outer depth, deep stuff, and starts to make it more inward. So Sunday, there could be a shift for a lot of us in that regard. And I would say from Sunday onwards, it's really good for that 6 months to internalize it, right? To reflect a little bit in terms of our own fears, our own insecurities, our own doubts, inhibitions, areas where we feel like we're overly attached, doing that inner work with this deeper world, healing world, shadow work. And that's just really working with it. So let's see how that shifts on Sunday. And then Venus will be passing over Neptune on Friday over the weekend. This is the third contact since February 1st. So what I would really just read about this is that we've just had a lot of Pisces energy, and it's starting to really wrap up and complete now. So like I said, the last 2 lunar cycles are heavily Pisces. Pisces is the water. It's the molasses. It's that deeper spiritual energy. And, we're just slowly coming out of that with the new moon, but we still have Mercury and Venus still in Pisces. And like I said, Venus still has to go over Neptune, which is that same watery energy. So that'll be on Friday. Maybe some things finalizing there with receptivity, with really seeing the value of this peace and mental health and spiritual health stuff. I think that's a great way of working with it. So we're in a, even though it's this fresh new start and we could read it as the solar year, we're in a transition. And I think it's going to be a multi-week transition as these faster movers, especially Mercury and Venus, start to leave Pisces. And then once they actually do enter Aries, the sun will be in Taurus, and we'll feel much more of that outer energy. Not to mention that Mars is still in watery Cancer, right? So even with Mars, even though it is a new moon in Aries, and Aries is the fresh new start, it's the proactive, the initiating, Mars rules that. And so Mars in Cancer actually makes that watery. So right now, when it does come to our assertiveness and our actions, I think it's really good to be really doing it in a way that's still connected to our feelings, to our past, our roots, our emotions. Cancer is all about the roots and the body and the water retention of our body and the feelings. Connect to that. And then come from that. So that's where Mars in Cancer can be like a protector. an assertive carer, nurturer, a warrior for the emotional and the personal and the meaningful in life. The spiritual warrior, if you will, but the personal warrior, usually protector of those that are close to us emotionally. So that's how I'm reading, this week. Subtle, as you can see, no major squares and things like this. Now, the new moon will be squaring up to Mars and Pluto, so we could be seeing this lunar cycle activity in the realm of that Mars and Pluto. So things involving power, again, that assertive energy of Mars, perhaps some ego death. We are really, throughout this lunar cycle with the square, practicing more non-attachment and letting the ego die, if you will, metaphorically speaking, in order for rebirth to happen. That's really how the Mars-Pluto energy is combined. And now the Mars-Pluto aspects have technically already happened, but since they're part of the new lunar cycle, they're part of the new moon. It's a T-square, new moon, squaring Mars and Pluto. It is going to be, in the background, let's say, and involved in this whole lunar month. So, yeah, allowing for that Pluto energy, let's say. Personal transformation, healing, non-attachment. Mars, making sure Mars isn't too strong, the aggression, the assertive, the too proactive, whatever. Seeing that things are important, we have our needs, we need to assert ourselves, we need to express ourselves, but at the same time, of course, in conscious and constructive ways. All right, so going back to the chat here. Gigi Cat, thanks for joining. First time I've been able to join, says Gigi Cat. Forgot I have a YouTube name. This is actually Maggie in Philadelphia. Oh, Maggie, great to see you. Thanks for joining. Right, so Aquarius Sky Clock makes a very good observation that we have Jupiter heading for Gemini. So let me get a refresher on when exactly that is. When exactly Jupiter will enter Gemini. I believe it's in June. I think we talked about it last time. Let's go with weeks here. So Jupiter will start to enter Gemini June 6th, June 7th. Okay, so Gemini is the practical energies, rules communication, rules knowledge, rules information, social dynamics, relationships with peers, neighbors, siblings. So Jupiter is very likely to activate this and expand this. Okay. So starting in June, great time to maybe be a little social, be inquisitive, be curious, maybe learn some things, share some things, write some things, use that mind and communicative energy, as Jupiter will really help us see the bigger picture of it. And it can really combine the right brain with the left brain, as Jupiter tends to be more of the right brain. Philosophical, the abstract. Jupiter's going to make all that practical stuff very philosophical and abstract, and vice versa. Our philosophical minds will become very practical. And this can actually be a great time for grounding things like spirituality, grounding things like dreams or ideals, grounding possibilities and potentials, and again, working through them practically and making them happen. So it's going to be about a year of that, which is really great. Thanks, Aquarius Sky Clock. So Masterpiece, great for you to join, says, how would you describe the transition from Pisces to Aries if traveling along the zodiac in order? Like from the end to the new beginning? Yeah, exactly. From the end to the new beginning. The best analogy I can use that I've heard is it's like coming out of the womb, okay? So the life cycle is the zodiac cycle, and the first energy is Aries. And so this is where the child comes out of the womb and first becomes aware of it's separate from mother, that it has its own identity, that it's separate from mother. Now, Pisces is part of mother, so that's in the womb. So that's like this idea that we're all connected collectively. The two fish are tied to the point. We're all connected. All is one. We're all connected to God, source, what have you. This is Pisces. So the best analogy I would say in the most practical sense, and what we can, I think, all relate to, not that we remember when we were born, but we can definitely see the symbolism of the difference between being in the womb and coming out of the womb. And that is how I would describe that Aries, well, the Pisces to Aries transition. Glow with the Flow, thank you so much for being here. It's been a challenging time of growth, healing, and transformation, says Glow with the Flow, since January, and I'm very weary. How long will the sun be in Aries? Well, first of all, the January thing, I totally relate with that, and that's again part of a lot of the retrogrades that we've had. We had Mars retrograde there. We're still working with some Pisces energy there. So there was, it's been a long time of this kind of womb, molasses, sticky, So I think that's all, we're starting to come out of it now. Now, how long the sun will be in Aries will be for about 3 weeks. Let me just get more precise for you. Tell you exactly when. So the sun will leave Aries exactly on the 13th of May. So really just a couple weeks. Well, a few weeks, whatever. But again, we'll still have that watery energy. So if what you're asking is, when will we kind of have a much different energy than what we've experienced since early this year, then I would say probably once Venus leaves Pisces, okay? It'll happen in steps, and Mercury will be a step even before the sun leaves Aries. But Venus will leave on the 8th of June, which is interesting. That coincides with Jupiter going into Gemini. So around that same time, early June, I think the energy is going to be very different from what we've been experiencing by that time, it'll be like half the year. So it'll be very different from what we've experienced those first, 5 solid months out of the year. Okay. But thanks for sharing that. Christine, was there something difficult yesterday? Energy with people around me was aggressive. Right. So that's myself included. Yeah, me too. That's been the Mars and Pluto square. So I talked a lot about that in the last weekly. If you want to go back and watch this week's weekly, but the one that I recorded a week ago, I talked a lot about that. And but anyways, yeah, Mars square Pluto. And that's what we're talking about as part of this new lunar cycle. I don't think it's going to be like it was, because that was, the exact aspects, but very similar. All right, so Erica points out that, yeah, Jupiter, of course, going into Gemini will pass over the top of Orion. So that area between Taurus and Gemini is Orion. So, of course, Jupiter won't pass through Orion, but right above it. So actually we can see this. Can we see this? Let me because this will be cool to see. Let me recast this Astrology Explorer, the planetarium. So you can see here, this is what Jupiter will look like going into Gemini, and Mercury will be there, which is cool too, and then the sun with the new moon, that'll be cool. But as you can see, yeah, so Jupiter would be, with the software, Jupiter is much bigger than we would see it, right? So there's this whole circle here of Jupiter. Of course, Jupiter would just look like a star, but you would see it right above Orion, and you could locate it by Orion's belt. I mean, you can do that now. Anyone can go out tonight and see Orion's belt. Actually, it's gonna become increasingly more difficult to do that, by the way, but you won't see this, of course, in June, because by June, the sun will be with Jupiter. But using in this case, if you go in June and use a planetarium software, you will see Jupiter right above Orion like this, which is very cool. So you could read it as Orion. You could read it as the cusp between Taurus and Gemini as Orion. Orion is the hunter. It's the human part of the self. You're combining the earth of Taurus with the rationality of Gemini, if you think of humans as sort of rational animals or rational beings, where we're still kind of physical, but we're also using our minds to, our frontal lobe. What makes us human really is, we're spiritual beings, and that's what a Fucus shows us. But in a physical plane, right, in evolutionary sense, we are animals that have evolved into being able to think and practically rationalize. That's the Gemini. So this transition from the earth to the rational to the practical is very much Gemini. Very much Orion. And we'll see this visually here, which is really cool. Thank you so much, Goddess Hather, for sharing. Lady Spellbreaker as well. Thank you so much, guys. Aries Sun, Lady Spellbreaker is an Aries Sun, bringing her torch. Thank you so much, lady. Mystic Media says, feels like waking up after hibernation. LOL. Happy to celebrate the new year. Absolutely. Lady says, be assertive, not aggressive. Note to selfie. That's a good one. Yeah, I think assertive is a great way to describe the constructive aggressive. Lane says, hi Athens, all the colors on my chart line up almost perfectly. What would be the significance of this? The colors, do you mean the planets? All of the colors on my chart line up. Let me know if you mean the planets. So if all your planets are together, there'd be a blending of energy between all of them. And that your personality be very multifaceted and very dynamic. Jackie, hi Athen from India. Thanks so much for joining. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. Let me just go ahead and finish up the chat, and we'll conclude. And again, happy new moon. Go out and see how these next couple hours are in terms of this ending, and see if you notice the shift of energy. I'd be very curious. Manifestation Maven, thanks so much for joining. Christine, my favorite saying is observe, don't absorb. Nice one. Thank you so much, Laura. Laura Joe says, great work you're doing, Athen. Thank you so much, Laura. Aquarius, Orion's belt are the three wise men from the Bible. Never heard that association, but I'm definitely going to keep that in mind. Very interesting. Laura, is there a list somewhere on your website with the dates and starting dates of each zodiac sign? For the sun, yeah, so sun sign dates will be in the horoscope section. So if you go to masteringthezodiac.com and you go to the horoscope section on the bottom, you will see a link that takes you to the dates. So 4C Invested says, hi Athen, what keeps you going doing these videos every week? I appreciate the length. Well, I mean, I love talking about astrology and philosophy in general, and it's just very cool to be able to do this. I mean, I'm very grateful that I can connect with so many of you and share my perspective. And so it's great to have this community. It's great to exchange things. And it's very convenient for me too, as it's always on Sundays, and Sundays is the same time that I do my weekly forecast. So I do the weekly forecast, I upload the newsletter for MTZ Insiders, and then I come here and meet with you all. But yeah, thanks so much for being here, 4C. Oh, so Lane is saying the sign and the house colors are the same. So you're linked up, so you're probably a Pisces rising, late Pisces rising in true sidereal. So yeah, that means that, you know, you're born with a rising that's at the beginning of the zodiac, and so the houses and the signs are going to match up. And so it makes it that you're likely a very direct, like your life energy is direct. What you're here to learn, grow, and develop would be interpreted in the chart more easily, because usually you would have like a different sign with a different house, and then so it becomes a little more difficult. But yours is like, it's very straightforward, and so you could read it as like you're a straightforward person and can be very direct. At least life is definitely helping you do that, so you can read it that way. Life is helping you, you know, be direct and straightforward with things. But really, it's your life lessons are like, you know, for example, if it's second house, which is money, it's like, okay, you're here to do the money and the resource thing in a very straightforward way, which would be in the Taurus way, which is through self-reliance, resourcefulness, basically the same things associated with money and resources. So it makes the interpretation much easier, but that also implies that it makes the life lessons and things, I'm not going to say much easier because I don't know the rest of your chart. I will say that alone does make, I mean, I like that, to have, you know, things linked up, because it does make the energy more straightforward, and in that way you could say it's easier. But of course we were not going to say easier because we don't know what the rest of your chart looks like, but more straightforward like that. And also it could be seen in your personality not so much that what you're born with. We wouldn't say you're necessarily born as this kind of person, but life is definitely helping you become more to the point, matter of fact, get it, do it, you know, and just more straightforward in the approach. Don't have to wiggle things and figure, you know, and go this and weird and this and squaring this and this, that, and the other thing. It's just more straightforward. All right, so we'll leave it at that. Everyone, thank you again for joining. It's great to be with you all. We'll be here next week at the same time, every week on Sundays, 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, have a great new moon, and see you all next time. Take care.